starts the second shiur. We're going to talk about Rosh Hashanah. You have a paper in front of you, right? Okay.
Yes.
Before we start that paper, we're a few minutes before 12, and I told some people 12, so in case they wanted to come and shouldn't miss out, we'll do the introduction of the calendar, okay? The Yiddish calendar, it's very important to understand our calendar. Start off with a story. This story happened with Chassidic Gaon, who was obviously from the Gaonim, so we're talking about after the Amoraim, before the Rishonim. He's traveling, he comes by an inn, a roadside hotel, and he comes there. They greet him, they treat him very nicely, they give him a place to stay, a room, food, everything he needs, and he goes on his way. Sometime later, the hotel manager, the Yid who ran the inn, realized who he had in his hotel. That was Reb Chassidic Gaon. Someone came and told him, and he's shocked. He says, I didn't know I had this tzaddik in my place. Terrible, how could I have not treated him so well? And I'm not sure if he chased after him, or next time Reb Chassidic Gaon came back, he begged Mechila. And he said, please forgive me for not treating you so well. Please forgive me for... And Reb Chassidic Gaon said, what treatment? You gave me food, you gave me beautiful, you gave me a place to stay, you gave me everything. What are you begging Mechila for? He said, yeah, but if I had known who you were, how much better I would have treated you. Okay? Every year, Rosh Hashanah comes back. We just did Rosh Hashanah last year. We just did Teshuvah already. Come on, again we're going to do it, and then we'll do more of it, so do Teshuvah again, right? What's going on here? Why the Teshuvah every year? The idea is that every single year we grow in our appreciation of Hashem. Whether we've learned during the year, or even if we haven't learned during the year, even our own life experiences, right? Life takes us places, we develop, we learn, we grow. The way we're going to approach Hashem this Rosh Hashanah is a different Hashem in our mind, so to speak, to the way we approached Him last year. We have a deeper understanding of our relationship with who we're talking to. And that's why Hashem gives us an opportunity every single year to reconnect and to re-establish that connection with Him. It's like the tzaddik, Reb Aaron Kaliner, he was davening Rosh Hashanah for the Amud, for the davening his chazan, and it comes to the word Hamelech. Hamelech Yoishiv Akizidam V'nisa. Hashem is the king sitting there. And at the word Hamelech, he faints. And then they revive him. They say to him, what happened? Why, He said, if Hashem is the king, why didn't I come to him till now? These words are from Yochanan ben Zakkai. If Hashem is the king, why didn't I come to him till now? What, he didn't come to Hashem till now? The tzaddik? Of course he came to Hashem till now. But this year he has a new appreciation of Hashem. He's coming to Hashem on a new level. We're doing teshuvah for our previous levels, yeah? Not for our various necessarily. Okay. What is Ma'agal Hashanah? What is our calendar? Our calendar is not what people think. It's a circle that repeats itself. Rosh Hashanah comes, Yom Kippur comes, Sukkot comes, Hanukkah comes, Purim comes, and again and again and again. I just did that last year. No. Our calendar is not a circle. Our calendar is not a timeline that's time is going on and on and on. Yes, today will never repeat itself, and yes, there is a opportunity today which will never come back to us, but time is not just a line that goes on and on and on. Time is like a spiral. We're spiraling higher and higher. Every year we come back to the same places. Yes, we're having Rosh Hashanah all over again. Yes, we're having Yom Kippur all over again, but it's not the same Rosh Hashanah as last year. The Baal Tanya writes in Yigeres HaKodesh that every single year, Rosh Hashanah, an Or Chadash, a new light, comes down into this world that never ever was before. And that light is the Rosh, is the head, and the body of the year follows after that, like our body follows the head, the nervous system, right? So it's not just again Rosh Hashanah, it's a whole new level of Rosh Hashanah. Shana, the word Shana, year, comes from the word Shinoi, which means to change, right? Every year is changing. But it also comes from the word Mishnah, to repeat. It's always coming back onto itself. Okay? So that's just a little introduction to the idea of our calendar, to the idea of the koiches coming back again and again. And just to finish that off, that concept, we have the words, we're not on the worksheet yet, this is kind of just to finish that off, there's a pasuk in the Megillah Esther, which says, Hayom ha'ele niskorim v'na'asim. These days are of Purim are remembered and done, meaning we commemorate and we do the mitzvahs of Purim every single year. The Arizal explains to us, Hayom ha'ele niskarim v'na'asim. Through us niskarim, through us remembering these days, commemorating them, v'na'asim, we recreate the koyach of that day. Meaning each day, each mo'ed has a koyach, has a power, has some opportunity which Hashem is giving to us, which we, through commemorating that day, have the power to tap into that opportunity, have the power to utilize that koyach for our year. Kind of like our annual dose of, our annual dose of Chayrus on Pesach, our annual dose of Kabbalas oil on Rosh Hashanah, our annual dose of Slicha Mechila on Yom Kippur. Okay, so now we know that every single Yom Tov has a koyach. And now we know that every single year the koyach is on a higher level and a deeper way. What is the koyach of Rosh Hashanah? And how can we tap into that koyach this year so that our Rosh Hashanah this year will be on a different level to our Rosh Hashanah last year? Revolv Kitzis was the Baal Tekeya for the Baal Shem Tov. And he asked the Baal Shem Tov, a very famous story, you've probably heard this before. He asked the Baal Shem Tov for all the kavanas ha'atkiyas. What are you supposed to think about while belonging to Tekiyas? What does Tekiya, Trua, Shvarim, what does each one refer to? And which Olamas are we reaching? And which aspects of Hashem? And he wanted to know the whole deal. And being the Baal Shem Tov, right, Baal Ruch HaKodesh and all, the Baal Shem Tov told him all the special kavanas. And he wrote it down on a little piece of paper, and he had it with him with his shofar. Comes Tekiyas shofar, the paper is nowhere to be found. Comes Tekiyas shofar, his mind is blank. He doesn't remember anything the Baal Shem Tov had told him. And here he is, a chassid, supposed to be blowing Tekiyas for the Baal Shem Tov in the Baal Shem Tov's shul. And he's blank. He feels like a simple person. And with a broken heart, he blows the Tekiyas. After davening, Baal Shem Tov gives him a big yash koyach for the beautiful Tekiyas. What beautiful Tekiyas? I messed up. I forgot it all. I lost the paper. He says, exactly. Pure, simple Tekiyas. That is what we need. Without the complications, without the ego mixed in, without the ideas. Simple, pure Tekiyas with a broken heart. That is what we need to crown Hashem as King. I don't know which Rebbe it was, one of the many, many Chassidic Rebbes, that maybe one of you knows, that'll help me. He was asked, what is the kavanah for Tekiyas shofar? And he responded, the kavanah is, Rachamana Amatiku, Hashem said to blow. That is the kavanah. Hashem said to blow. Zeo, that's the kavanah, okay? So, on one hand, Rosh Hashanah, everyone's shaking. It's Rosh Hashanah, Hayom Haras Olam, Hayom Yomid Bar Mishpat. It's a scary, it's an intense day. On the other hand, the avodah of Rosh Hashanah is very simple. Blow the shofar. If you didn't know anything else, blow the shofar. Besides blowing shofar, that's the mitzvah of the day, the minhagim of the day are also very simple. Tilim Zokim, right? Say Tilim the whole day. From the greatest person who can learn an intense Gemara to the simplest yid that can break their teeth over the words, they're equal. They're all just saying Tilim. There's no deep things going on. It's Tehillim, basic. We try to sleep minimal. We try not to talk to Varim B'Teilim. We try not to talk as much, right? Especially Rosh Hashanah night from Shkia till belonging to Shofar the next day. It's a very simple avodah. So why is it that this intense day of crowning Hashem as King, of Yom Hadin, of Hayom Haras Olam, Hayom Yamid B'Mishpat, we are having the most simplest avodah of pure Tekiyas, of saying Tilim, of just being present, showing up. Rosh Hashanah is about showing up. How could that be? So we're going to learn a little bit about Rosh Hashanah. We're going to talk about how Rosh Hashanah is all about crowning Hashem as King, how we do that personally, how blowing the shofar achieves crowning Hashem as King. And that's the shir for today, okay? And I have questions, so we can start, we can ask. Okay. What happened on Rosh Hashanah historically? What is Rosh Hashanah? It says, Zeh Hayoim, in Musaf we say, Zeh Hayoim Tchilas Ma'asecha. This is the day of the beginning of Hashem's creation. Zikaron L'Yom Rishon, a remembrance for the first day. Is Rosh Hashanah the day that Hashem started to create the world? No. What is Rosh Hashanah?
That he created man.
Thank you. Adam Rishon is created on Rosh Hashanah. Besides for the Eitz Hadas, what did Adam Rishon do on Rosh Hashanah on the very first day that he was created?
He gives names to all the creatures. He names all the
Yeah. So he calls together all the animals and he says, Boyu nishtachava v'nichra. Come, let us bow down, let us prostrate ourselves before Hashem who created us. He calls all the animals and tells them all, acknowledge Hashem who created you, bow down, crown Hashem as king. And which words in Tehillim I refer to that day? We say we say it Shabbos night, Friday night, Hashem Malach Geos Lavash. He crowned Hashem as king. Yeah, Shemoy Nikra. He called him the king. He became king on a world. Adam and Rishon crowned Hashem in Rosh Hashanah. That idea of we humans turning to Hashem and saying, we want to connect with you. Adam and Rishon did that the very first Rosh Hashanah. And we reenact that every year when Rosh Hashanah comes back.
So he actually told the animals together with him to crown Hashem.
Yeah. Well, there wasn't any people to tell. I did learn though, just yesterday, for the first time, Adam Rishon was created as one person, Yechidi. You know, we have a chip on our shoulder. Why wasn't Adam and Chava created together? Why was he created only one? And the reason why Adam and Rishon was created one, singular, is so that to teach each and every single one of us that all you need is one person to crown Hashem as king. Your avodah, yes, you are just one person, but your singular personal avodah can have a huge effect. You don't need two. You don't need a whole million. You don't need a whole crowd of one. Okay? Hashem can rely on you personally. That's why Adam was created. You know, for some people, your Rosh Hashanah is not going to be any less if you're at home. As long as you hear your tekiyah, shofar, and as long as you show up, if some people belong in shul, and some people belong at home. So Adam Rishon is the tachlis of creation. The tachlis of creation was created on Rosh Hashanah, and therefore the head of the year is not the beginning of the world. The head of the year is what leads the year, what gives koyach to the year, is the Adam HaRishon being created, the purpose of creation. The purpose of creation to serve Hashem, to crown Hashem as king. Most of the tefillos of Rosh Hashanah are about crowning Hashem as king. We say it in the Kiddush, even in the bracha of Rosh Hashanah, Meloich ala olam kula b'chvaydecha, right? We say Melech al kol haaretz mekadesh Yisrael v'yom hazikarim. That's the bracha of Kiddush, right? Melech. A lot of the tefillos of Rosh Hashanah are about Malchus, about Hashem being king. Even we have Malchias, the Chronis, and Shofras. The Ikar is the Malchias. The Zechronis is we're crowning you as king. And remember Schus Avos and all the Schusim. And how, but Ubaman, how? Through Shofar. So even Malchias, Zechronis, and Shofras, the Malchias is the main thing. And the Zechronis and Shofras have details on that. Okay, so we know that it's all about crowning Hashem as king. We know that that's what Rosh Hashanah is about. Why? Yes, that power comes back to the world, but if Hashem already is king, Adam HaRishon made Hashem king, why are we re-crowning him every year?
Because that is the tachlis of the prayer. So we should crown Hashem.
Because we need to do it. It's like our
It's up to us to crown Hashem, because otherwise Hashem can be king, but if there's no one to crown him, then...
Okay, so that's true. Ein melech b'lo am. There is no king without a nation. If the people don't want the king, what's it called?
rebellion.
A tyrant.
Okay, right.
Okay? It's oppression. If a tyrant is whatever. So what's going on that we need to re-crown Hashem if he's already the king? The simple, in a nutshell, it goes like this. We know that Hashem gives koyach to the year. Hashem gives a new light coming down to the year. Hashem's eyes are on the world in Eretz Yisrael. Meireshis Hashana ad achris shana. From the beginning of a year, of the year, till the end of a year. Hashem's eyes are on Eretz Yisrael for a year. At the end of the year, Hashem's Malchus, the night of Rosh Hashanah, Shvai Shkia, Hashem's Malchus goes up. Hashem kind of retreats back into himself. It's called in the terminology is Ha'olas HaMalchus. Ha'olas HaMalchus, going back into himself. And then Hashem waits for us to re-request that he be king, to draw down that will again. So in that time, from Shkia till the next day, it's actually a very scary time because Hashem's Malchus has left this world. Hashem still continues to run the world, but in a way of Moshel, in a way of tyranny, and say, I'm running this world, but you haven't requested me to be here. When we re-request Hashem's presence, we reinitiate that connection with him, it now becomes a relationship again. Okay? Now because creation of the world is done through speech, okay, we refrain from that speech. Because Malchus, in terms of the spirits and the different parts of the body, Malchus is Peh Kodesh. So the mouth is Malchus, speech is Malchus, B'dvar HaMelech Shilton, or the king rules through his speech, through speaking, through his instructions, directions, orders, decrees. Because the Malchus has left, the speech has left. And therefore we reflect that, we are created in B'Tzel Mekim, we reflect that by refraining from speech. From Shkia till Tkiyas Shofar the next day, when we redraw down that Kayach. B'chlal, we used to speak less on Rosh Hashanah because it's an intense time. But the Tainas Dibur is till Tkiyas Shofar. Okay, let's understand a little bit about why we need this relationship with the king. Why does Hashem want us to crown him? Why do we need to be crowning him? What does that do for us? What does that do for Hashem? So in order to understand the idea of Malchus, what we're achieving on Rosh Hashanah, let's understand a little bit about a human king, kingship b'chlal. And if we understand about a king, we can understand about Hashem. We say Malchusa da'ara ka'ein Malchusa d'rakia. Malchus on earth is somewhat like Malchus Shemayim. You know, everything in here is kind of mashal hakadmoini, or mashal of what's going up there. So we're talking about, to understand a king over the page, we're not going to talk about a Goyish king because that's not going to give us much help. We're going to talk about a Yiddish king. Who was the very first Yiddish king? Shaul HaMelech. What do we know about Shaul HaMelech? When they tried to crown him as king, where was he? Hiding. He was hiding amongst the wagons. Shmuel Hanovi had to schlep him. He didn't want to be king. Why not?
He didn't think he was worthy.
Okay, humility. Because someone who's really right to be a leader, a rav, a king, someone who's really right to lead, not always, but often, they're not interested in it. They are dealing with deeper things. Their mind is elsewhere. They're not really interested in our petty Dinei Torah issues yet. They go, and we have to pull it out of them. We have to request it and say, please, we know you're, dafka because you're removed, dafka because you're hecher, is why we need you. We don't want someone who's on our level dealing with us. Okay, we want dafka. Often you find that they're hiding, they're running away from it, they're not interested. Because that often, not always, but often, the person who's really right to lead is running away from it. Because they're higher, they're hecher. We say about Shaul HaMelech, Mishichvoi v'mayla gavoya mikol ha'am. He's head and shoulders above the nation. Now, he was physically taller. Shaul HaMelech was physically taller than the people, okay, head and shoulders above the nation. But is the Navi wasting words to tell us that he was physically taller? When we say he's head and shoulders above, we mean that shoulders, refers to midos, emotions. Head refers to seichel, intellect. Shaul HaMelech was head and shoulders above the nation. His emotions were more sophisticated than the intellect of the people. He felt better than they understood. That's the leader you want. Okay? And because he was higher than them, he was hiding.
And they had to feel better than they understood.
You know, you have your emotions,
Yes.
what you want, what you don't want, what you feel isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Sometimes you know something and you feel something. You
Yes.
feel one way, you know something else.
Yes.
And your head is supposed to control your emotion, right? Even though I feel this way, I know what's correct. His feelings were more correct than other people's understanding.
Mm-hmm.
That's a leader. That's what you want. You want someone who can lead you because they are higher than. Yeah? Yet, we had to pull it from him. We had to, And what made Shaul agree, I'm just jogging my mind back to the Tanakh there, is Shmuel told the people, do you know he can take your children to war? Do you know he can take taxes from you? Basically, do you know that you need to be completely given over to the king? Yes, if you're willing to be completely given over to the king, then he can be your king. It's kind of like, you know, each person has a family Rav. Yeah, you have a Rav that you deal with. We don't go Rav shopping. There's many Rabbanim out there. You choose a family Rav, and this is the one that you follow. Sometimes the Rav tells you something that you don't like. You think that he's being too mekel, too machmir, too this, too that. And what happens? You follow anyway. Why?
Because you've chosen him.
Because you've chosen him. Because you've chosen that this is the Rav who we will follow. And then even when he says something you don't like, you still follow him. If you would pick a Rav according to, he gives this heter and he gives that chumrah, call him for this and call him. Yes, you will sometimes call a Rav for a specialty, you'll sometimes call a different Rav for something specialty. But generally speaking, you give yourself over, you say, I've chosen, and then you follow no matter what. Then you follow even when it doesn't make sense. Just a simple anecdote. I remember my own life. I just got married, and I had to speak to the Rav for something, and the Rav gave me the answer, and I said, the Rav, I'm telling you. I can't tell you what words I said to my husband. I said, he doesn't see, he doesn't understand, he doesn't know. Anyways, obviously I followed anyway, right, with all my chutzpah. And years later, I realized, yeah, he was right. In my immaturity, I thought he wasn't. Well, who do you think you are? Obviously, the Rav's learned many more years, knows much more. He's the Rav. Listen. Rosh Hashanah, listen, yeah? But the idea is that we put ourselves aside, we dedicate ourselves, and then we listen to everything else. But if you don't have that first step of dedication, then, okay. That's the idea of a Yiddish king, okay? You appoint, you mamlich, and then you follow no matter what. It's kind of like we have in Torah, we have Na'aseh v'nishma, right? Na'aseh v'nishma. What's Na'aseh v'nishma? Hashem Na'aseh. Whatever you say, we'll do. Dedication. Then Nishma. Tell us what your halachas are. Let's hear. Okay? But it can't be Nishma v'Na'aseh. Na'aseh. Whatever you say, we'll do. Then Nishma. Tell me the details. But in order to have a connection to Hashem, we have to first have that step of dedication, of giving ourselves over, of saying, Hashem, I appoint you. Whatever you say, we'll do. Okay? In the Mechilta, it says, Hashem says to us, Kiblu malchusei, first accept my kingship, va'achar kach egzar aleichem gezeiros. Then I'll give you the decrees. First accept me. We say about Hashem that even if Hashem would have commanded us to schlep water and chop trees, we'd be doing that. We don't do the mitzvahs because they make sense. We don't do the mitzvahs because they have schar attached. We don't do the mitzvahs because they're beautiful. We do mitzvahs because Hashem commanded them. Whatever He commands, we'll do. But that idea of I'll do whatever you say, that's the feeling of Rosh Hashanah. That's the idea of crowning Hashem as king. We have the same pattern of first giving ourselves over and then hearing the details in Shema. There's the first paragraph of Shema, which is referred to as Kabbalas Ol Malchus Shemayim, accepting Hashem as king. Yeah, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, v'haftas Hashem b'chol levavcha, b'chol nafshecha, b'chol ma'odecha. Right? B'chol meidecha. We're giving ourselves over. And then you have Im Shamaya, right? The details come after that. If you do listen, yeah? First is Kabbalas Ol Malchus Shemayim, the first paragraph, then Kabbalas Ol Mitzvahs. A real Yiddish leader, we see in Torah very clearly, needs the pattern of first giving ourselves over, first dedicating ourselves to follow, and then once we have Kabbalas Ol, once we've accepted the yoke, then we can have that connection, we can follow, we can listen to the details, we can do everything else. The avodah of Rosh Hashanah The avodah of Rosh Hashanah, we say that every single moyed during the year has its koyach of the day. The koyach of Rosh Hashanah, the dose of the aspect of the relationship with Hashem which it works on, is that initial step, that rosh, that head. The first step in relationship with Hashem is giving ourselves over, dedication. Hashem, I'm yours. Hashem, I want to serve you. The details, I'll have to figure that out. Aseres make tshuva, yeah, once I've decided I'm going to serve you, okay, now I better check myself and make that connection actually happen, fix up my averos, okay. Yom Kippur will come, there'll be slicha and mechila. But the very first step has to be, Hashem, I'm yours. Hashem, I am yours, I want you to be mine. I want you to be my king, I want to be your subject. I want to follow you. So compare this to modern day rulers. Yeah. Compare this to modern day rulers, yeah? What do presidents do? First they look at the people and see what the people want. Then they make their campaign speech according to what the people want. Then they get appointed, and then they bend like this in the wind. Whatever you want, they'll do. Yeah? Kacha. That's completely not the way it's supposed to be, right? It says that the dar before Mashiach's arrival, the pnei dar ke pnei kelef, the face of the nation, meaning that the king will be like the face of a dog. So you think Trump looks like a dog? You can decide if he looks like a dog or not. That's beside the point. What's a dog? You go to the park, yeah? The dog runs ahead. He's leading. Then he keeps on looking behind to see, does his master want him to leave the park, turn right, turn left, yeah? Pnei dar ke pnei kelef.
Wow.
The leaders keep on looking back. What do the people want? What? Yeah? A Rav that listens to what the people want and gives the psak according to the people, that's called reform, right? Kingship needs people to give themselves, and then the king does it. And why? Because the king is higher than. Because when you're a real king, a real leader, a real Rav, a real whatever, is somebody who is a step above you. He's not the same as you. He's a step above. He understands better, he feels higher, and therefore you need to make him want to deal with your issues. You have to make him want to have a relationship with you. And how do you inspire that wanting to have a connection? By saying, I'll be yours. I'll give myself over to you. People look for a mentor. Yeah, in the Yiddish world and the Goyish world, people look for a mentor, for somebody to lead them in life. Yeah, a life coach, whatever it is. If you say, I want you to be my mentor, but I'll pick and choose. Tell me the information, and you think they're going to be your mentor? No. You want a mentor, you have to say, I'll listen. I'll be makabel. Okay, and then they'll be willing to mentor. It's funny. First we have Rosh Hashanah, then we have Yom Kippur. Rosh Hashanah, there's no Hasham Baganu. Rosh Hashanah, there's no Al Chait. Rosh Hashanah, there's no Takalam. Right? If Rosh Hashanah is Yom Hadin, why don't we first have Yom Kippur, do all the tshuva, then Rosh Hashanah will have an amazing din for the new year. First we have Rosh Hashanah, there's no Tachanun, we crown Hashem as king. Then 10 days later, we have Yom Kippur, Hashem please forgive us. It's a bit backwards, no? No. In order to even deal with Slicha and Mechila, in order to even deal with the details of doing what Hashem wants, what are the mitzvahs, we have to get to that place beyond mitzvahs. We have to get to a place where, Hashem, I'm yours. I don't know all the Hilchos Shabbos, but I want to keep your Shabbos, whatever that means. Just back in the day, before Gear went through based in, like it was like like Gear today, there's a curriculum, whatever else. Gear used to be, in times of Chazal, somebody would come, they would want to be a Yid. They would have to be Makabel Ol Malchus Shemai. They would have to want to be a Yid, to dedicate themselves over. A few details, and they're already a Yid. And they would learn the halachas as they went along. We don't do that anymore, but that's how Gear used to be. Because really, really, a connection to Hashem starts with that first dedication of Hashem, I'm yours. Okay, this feeling...
Why does it change?
Because it's very hard to determine who is sincere and who isn't. And nowadays, when you tell them to do the whole curriculum, it's a 3-year process, and they have to, you filter out those who aren't sincere and aren't interested. This feeling of Hashem, I'm yours, I want to be yours, whatever that means, I'll find out the details later, that is the Kabbalah's all of Rosh Hashanah. And we do that through blowing the shofar. Mitzvah hayom b'shofar. The mitzvah of the day is blowing shofar. Why shofar? Why does shofar signify that feeling? So why is that? Why is shofar the mitzvah, the body, the guf, which expresses that neshama of the day?
Just calling out with no words, with nothing, just a pure.
Exactly.
No,
Exactly.
maybe it's deeper. Maybe it's to do with the animal, the history of the animal.
Both. Well said, Javi. Wait till you come back to that. It's both the idea of it being a kol pashat, a simple voice without details, and it's also what she mentioned, animalistic, interestingly enough. There's tefillah davening. Davening has words. There's bakashas, there's shevach, there's hoida'ah, there's praising Hashem, there's requesting from Hashem, there's thanking Hashem. There's many details. It's like Mrs. Avdi said, it's Anashama talking to us. It's like bringing with yourself, yeah? Giving yourself a pep talk, telling yourself a few things, and let it sink in, listen to the words, yeah? That's tefillah. But then there is shofar. Shofar doesn't have words, doesn't have details. You're not saying anything. It's just a cry, a deep, deep cry, without any geder to it. It's that pure essence of our neshama, pure essence, crying out, wanting to connect to Hashem's essence. Like she mentioned about the animal, it comes from a horn of an animal. It's not even a human cry. It's something so primal, so base. That core, take up all the layers, take up all your understanding, take up all your feeling, take everything away, and what's left, your neshama, that's the cry of Hashanah. I want to be yours. I want to connect to you. Crowning Hashem as King, Hashem, I will be yours. I'll mess up, I'll figure it out, but I want to be yours. That reconnection point, that's the cry of the shofar. There's a mashal that the Baal Shem Tov gave, a beautiful mashal. And the mashal goes like this, I have it all detailed here. That there was a typical, the king and his son, right? So the king, Hashem obviously, has a son, a prince, and he wants his prince not to be a spoiled prince, growing up in the palace with all the luxury. He wants his son to develop, to learn new languages, new cultures, to understand, to know how to be a king. He needs to understand the people. So he sent his son with a lot of supplies and resources and money to a faraway land. And he says to his son, learn, grow, develop. And his son went to a faraway land. And instead of learning, developing, and growing, he wasted all the resources his father gave him. He sold the servants, and he wasted it all on pleasures, on the nightlife and whatnot, the pubs and the drinks and the parties. And after a while, the money runs out. When the money runs out, the fun runs out. Fun's over. So what does he do? He says, oh, I got to go back home now. It's not comfortable anymore. And it's time to go home. So he tries, after years already, to retrace his steps and to go back to his father's palace. And after very long journey, he comes back to the land of his father, and he's forgotten the language of the royal land. And he can't even communicate with people. And he comes to the palace, and the guards don't recognize him. He doesn't look like a prince, he looks like a lowlife. And he can't even communicate with the guards to tell them, please let me in. Because he looks to... He has no language. They want to throw him away. So what does he do? He cries out from the deepest place in his soul. Cries out to his father. Without any words. And his father hears the voice of his son. And he says, I recognize that voice. That's my child. The father comes from the palace, comes out, and he forgives his son, and he embraces him and draws him in. And then can start the journey of rehabilitation and, fixing him up. That is the story of Tishrei. Our neshama comes down into this world loaded with resources, talents, life circumstances, abilities, understandings, emotions, whatever Hashem gives us, the presence that Hashem gives us. And our neshama is loaded with resources, but we waste it. We waste the resources on all the things which pull us, the party, the fun. Until one point, and it happens to all of us at some point, at one point we realize, I am so far away from my father's home. I want to go back. This is not where I want to be. It can happen annually, Yom Noraim. It can happen at a hard time in life. It can happen at a happy time in life. It can happen just on on a random day. To some people it happens on a random day. I don't know if you're one of those. We get these wake-up calls of, where am I? I'm so far away. And what do we do then? We try to return, but we forgot the language of Ruchnius. You don't even know how to daven. Sometimes, like, I want to daven, and I don't even know what I'm supposed to be saying. I'm like, Hashem, I want to turn to you, but yeah, I know the Siddur, I know how to read, yeah, Shkoyach, but I don't even know the words of Ruchnius. I don't even know the kavanas I'm supposed to be having. I feel so empty. So we don't even have the words. We don't even have the understanding to reconnect. So how do we connect? With the shofar of Rosh Hashanah. That shofar, that pure cry of Hashem, I'm yours. I don't know what it means to be yours. I don't know all the details you want from me. I haven't been to the Hilchos Shabbos here. I missed the past 5 weeks of Hilchos Shabbos. But I want to keep Shabbos. You know I mean well. That wanting, that reconnection, Hashem accepts that on Rosh Hashanah. And the Hashem forgives, the crying out is Rosh Hashanah. Hashem forgiving us is Yom Kippur. And Hashem drawing us into his embrace, that is the embrace of the sukkah. One of the only mitzvahs besides the mikveh which encompasses us on all sides. And from there, the rehabilitation can begin. Tishrei is that first step of re-solidifying our connection with Hashem. I'd like to point out that with Hashem, yeah, and with any human being even, there's 2 levels to a relationship, okay? There is what we call chitzonius haratzon, our external will, and then there's pnimius haratzon, our internal will, okay? So we all have chitzonius haratzon and pnimius haratzon, okay? Chitzonius haratzon, you really want to mop your floors. You do. You really do want to mop your floors. Pnimius haratzon, are you really interested in mopping your floors? No, you just want to clean house. Okay? Yeah. Chitzonius haratzon, you want nachas from your kids. You want your kids to achieve. You want them to be the best one in yeshiva. You want them to... You have lists that you want for your kids. Pnimius haratzon, what do you really want? You want your child. Because ultimately, no matter where your child goes, you want that child. No matter what. Correct? Okay? We have
if this Chassidic is because you want to, if you have your child because you want to bring nachas, have nachas and bring nachas, then that's not Chassidic, that could be the pnimius.
Yeah.
Okay, some people have children who are incapable of fulfilling all those things, special needs child, whatever it is. A child that's struggling in a certain area. Do we love that child less or more?
Probably the same.
Yes.
If not more. Sometimes our love comes out more when the child doesn't fulfill the Chassidic haratzon. Yeah? No, yeah?
Yes, no, but you said that all these things that you want your son to excel, you want this, that all Chassidic, it doesn't have to be.
No.
They're all because you love your child.
So
Okay?
when we go into expectations, it's not the real love.
Yes. These things are real. We do, the mopping muscle was very surface level. The child is a lot deeper level.
Thank you.
But there's still their chitzonius and pnimius. We have lists of what we want for our children, and chitzonius is real. We really do want all that, and we're not going to settle for less. But at the end of it, what we really, really, really want is the child. Because even when they cannot fulfill all that, because they're incapable for whatever reason, we want the child. I'll talk about it by Hashem, which is what we're really trying to get to, and if you still have a question, we'll go back to it, okay?
Yes.
What's the chitzonius and pnimius haratzon by Hashem? Chitzonius haratzon by Hashem is Hashem has a list of 613 mitzvahs with thousands of halachas. Hashem really wants us to keep all those mitzvahs properly, and it's for real. It's not a joke. It's very serious. We need to be keeping all those mitzvahs. But more than Hashem wants the mitzvahs, Hashem wants a yid. A yid, you. A child cannot turn around and tell their parents, I don't need to follow all your expectations because you're going to love me anyway.
Yeah.
No, a child cannot turn around and say that. We cannot turn around and say to Hashem, you love a yid no matter what. All year long, we function on chitzonius haratzon. Okay? All year long, we need to keep 613 mitzvahs. However, once a year, Yom Noraim, we need to reconnect on that essential point. Okay? We need
Once a year?
the Chitzonis expresses the Pnimius, yeah?
Yes.
Chitzonis means the external.
Yes, of
The
course.
external expresses the internal.
Yes.
If you have that internal connection of Hashem and yours, then you are going to want to be following all the details. If you don't want to follow the details, then what's the worm eating you up inside? Are you really
It's
giving
one
yourself over to
that's
Hashem?
button.
Unconditional love is unconditional love. But on the child's part, it needs to express itself in wanting to live up to your expectations, in wanting to please the parent. Okay? When the child is incapable because of special needs, because of whatever else, the child's gone through traumas, yeah, then the love comes out anyway. But yes, we do have the Chitzoni is an expression of the Pnimius. Because Hashem loves the year, He has 630 mitzvahs for us to do. But even when we mess up, once a year we reconnect on a space of deeper than that. You know, according to real logic, Teshuvah shouldn't exist.
Do what?
Teshuvah should not exist. Teshuvah doesn't really make sense. So I'm sorry. You don't do that, right?
Yes.
Like how many times do you forgive someone?
Yes.
It doesn't work that way. But with Hashem is marabel slayach. Hashem forgives us again and again. Why? Because Teshuvah doesn't make sense. Because Teshuvah comes from this place. We're going to discuss it next week by Yom Kippur. I'm jumping ahead of myself. This comes into a lot of play with Yom Kippur. The whole Yom Kippur, the whole Teshuvah, Yom Noram, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur is from this place of essence, where our essence, neshama, our pinta yid, reconnects with Hashem's essence. I'm really jumping ahead to Yom Kippur now. But you get the idea, yeah? Just once a year, you reconnect on that deeper space. Once a year, you get that clean slate, a teshuvah, slicha mechila from a deeper space. Okay, we touch a very deep high neshama yichida, which we'll discuss next time. So we're coming to Rosh Hashanah in a few days, and the feeling of Rosh Hashanah is the feeling of Kabbalas Ol Malchus Shemayim, and that Kabbalas Ol Malchus Shemayim happens when we dedicate ourselves over to Hashem, when we show up, when we say, Hashem, I'm here, and I want to connect with you. I want you, and I want you to want me, and I want to reconnect with you. And that's what Rosh Hashanah is, a Yom Tif, and we dress in Big Day Shabbos and Big Day Yom Tif. We have it's a happy day. It's a day of crowning Hashem as King. Okay, there's no Hashem Loganu on the day. And once we have that reconnection, then we can lead into that serious tshuva of wanting to be forgiven, to fix ourselves up, to solidify that relationship with Hashem. I would like to, before we end off, a few beautiful things about Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah night, we wish each other L'shana tova tichasem, however you say it in the female version. I read just this week that when we Rosh Hashanah night, when we give each other that bracha, there are two malachim accompanying every single yid, and the malachim hear us wishing each other that bracha. They go to Maila, and the next day they are meilitz yosher for each of us. With that bracha that we bench each other, that brings down brachas for all of us. So, Marba, say as many of those brachas as you can.
Yeah. Is that why we go from one meal?
So the other idea is that we say, nowadays in modern Israel, Shana Tova, Shana Tova. No, L'shana Tova U'Mesukah. That's the bracha that we give. Why? L'shana Tova is a guta yar that comes from chesed. Okay, this chesed of Hashem. You should have a year of chesed. U'Mesukah. It should be a sweet year, that the gevuras, the dinim, should be sweetened. We all need dinim to some degree, okay? Sweet is not, pure chesed isn't always perfect for us. We need some dinim, but the dinim should come in such a sweet way, and it's sweet for us, it's not harsh for us. And that's why you be careful to always say, not in the bracha for Rosh Hashanah is Shana Tova Tichasim Mizachasim. But aside from that bracha, we wish each other a Shana Tova U'Mesukah. Okay? So wishing everybody a ksiva, a chasima tova, a shana tova u'Mesukah. Should be a good kibben shiur, and this year's Rosh Hashanah should be on a higher level than your Rosh Hashanah ever was before. You should re-solidify your relationship with Hashem in a deeper way to lead you to.
Thank you.
Thank you.